Hi, ladies. It's Fiona May.
And Sandra Lee.
We're the head coaches at Women on Transition. And today we've got our next part of our series, and it is called You're One Call Away from Breaking Negative Patterns. And this is something that, we love to specialize in because we love to help ladies grow their emotional intelligence.
Yeah, so many ladies come to us that have things that trigger them or keep dragging. They get positive, or they read a book, or they watch something, a movie or YouTube or something that's positive, and they hang around someone that's positive, and then they go back into their own little world, and a day later or hour later, they just slump back into where they were, and they find it's hard to stay in the positive mindset. And I get it. It is hard, and it's something that takes practice, and it takes a process to do as well.
So we're going to jump over and have a look at some slides and share those with you.
I think there's so much negativity in the world. We turn on the TV, we turn on the car radio, and, there's a car accident, or there's traffic's bad, or there's news is all full of doom and gloom, and it's easy for us to stay in a negative mindset when we're absorbing negativity through subconscious channels, which is not even just our thinking. It could be just those media channels as well. So we're going to go through some strategies on how to take control of the environment and what you're allowing in as well. It's really important that we put more positive in than negative as well.
So are we sharing our slides, Miss Sandra?
Yes.
Yep. All good? There we go. Me and my ability.
Let me just pop it over to
here. A minute ago. There we go. Okay, so you are one call away from breaking negative patterns, ladies. So let's jump in and have a look at what that actually means. So Sandra and I are divorce coaches. We specialize in helping midlife women going through a separation or a divorce to help them actually create their own and a beautiful new life. And to do that, they've got to get over their hurt, and they've got to get over the pain, and they've got to put down that heavy load that they're carrying. And most of what they're carrying are negative patterns and negative beliefs. And they, carry these around because they are trying very hard in most cases to create their new life, but they keep getting triggered, they keep getting pulled back. And it's not because they're not trying, but it's because they don't know what else to do. So we want to create a beautiful, supportive place for ladies to be able to unpack these emotions and be able to heal and process. And we don't believe in just talking about our problems or over processing our problems. What we do believe in is growing beyond the pain. And to do that, we know that we've got to grow a new mindset. We've got to grow by having new tools and skills to be able to see the world differently. And this is how we break these negative patterns.
Yeah, so understanding the importance of breaking the old habits is firstly identifying what they are. And sometimes we have habits that we just are part of our life. They're part of everything that we do every day. And we might even automatically respond to people, or the phone rings, we, sigh, or we walk into, hop into traffic and we just get angry. And these are things that just can happen without us even consciously being aware of them. So we first identify. Many patterns stem from past relationships that hold us back as well. So it could be when we hear something, oh, you're wearing that. It could be even something as small as that. It's nothing's meant by it, but it triggers us into, feeling, what, is this not good enough? Or do I look fat in this? Or we can jump straight into creating meaning around things that had no meaning potentially. And this comes back to our self-confidence, and negative thoughts. Breaking these habits allows you to reframe negative thoughts and embrace a positive outlook. So rather than it just being, it's just, words, or there's no meaning attached to that, only the meaning that I make of it. And that comes from self-confidence. And it's easy enough for people to say, you just need to be more self-confident, but it comes through building your self-confidence little bricks by brick, especially after going through a separation or divorce. And potentially a relationship that your confidence has been shattered. I know mine had been, and certainly my first marriage, I left there with very low self-esteem and self-confidence, and it had deteriorated over many years. Whereas my second marriage, where he had the affair, that was more, again, around, was I not good enough, or what did I do wrong? And I've had 2 failed marriages. And so all of these kept coming back into building up those negative thoughts and negative beliefs into validating them.
So the next one is we need to identify the triggers and the patterns, because for something to get triggered, it has to be there in the first place. And what happens is it's laying dormant in our subconscious mind. So I want you to think of an iceberg for a minute. And when there's an iceberg in the sea, just picture that. There's only a little bit that is above the water, but what's underneath is the main body of it. So about 10% above and about 90% below. And that's basically the same as our subconscious mind. So even though we think things and we think, we're grown-ups and we know our own mind and we think that we're in control of it, actually our mind controls us, because 90% of what we do on a day-to-day basis is subconscious. It's just already our programming that we received from when we were a little girl. This programming is running our life. And even though we're a big girl now, 40, 50 years old, 60 sometimes, we are still being controlled by the thoughts that we had as a little girl, and our experiences and the beliefs that we formed are still running our life today, even though we're a grown up. So the only way we can actually fix this situation, so we're actually in control of our life, is to regulate our emotions. And our emotions come from our thoughts. So first we have a thought. Our thought turns into a feeling. Our feeling becomes the emotion. The emotion, depending on how you're feeling about something, is how you're going to act. So if you're feeling great about something, you're going to be positive and it's going to excite you, and you're going to, do something good with that and maybe move in the directions of your goals. But if you're having a thought and it's leading to a negative or a bad feeling, then that feeling is going to turn into usually an action that doesn't serve us. So this is why we need to identify the triggers and the patterns. And what that means is we've got to go first back into our thoughts, because everything is first created as a thought, and then it becomes a action. And these actions over time become habits, and the habits then just are patterns of how we run our life. So if we want to take control of our life, and if we want to get better results than what we're getting now in our life, then we have to deal with some of the core underlying issues. Now, the reason most people don't deal with these is it's hard. It's not as easy. It's not just about talking about your problems or even admitting that you've got problems. We actually have to go back in, and we call it our journey back home, into our heart, into our, into our soul, into who we were when we were a little girl before we took on all these rules and beliefs and values. And so we need to do some self-reflection, and then we need to actually unpack what's going on for us. Now, we do this through strategic homework. We teach you how to actually go back inside and how to discover who you are, how you were created. And we do this through actually getting past the thoughts and getting into the subconscious mind. And in the subconscious mind, we can actually see what you're believing. And then we go through a process of identifying what you've been saying about yourself and what you've been believing. And once we've identified it, we can actually teach you new tools and skills so you grow beyond the pain. And this is the most important thing, because unless you grow, you can't do things differently than you've always done them. So it's really important that we open our mind and we develop our personality and we get some new tools and skills.
Yeah, so developing that personalized action plan, what works for you may not work for someone else, but there are some threads of same that is important across everyone. So it's really important that everybody, this is for regardless what bad negative thoughts you're having or belief systems you have, but you develop your mind. So to be more than you are, you have to grow your mind and take more action. And that it's like sitting there at the movie theater. You've got the screen in front of you, which is life, and you're taking it in, and how you interpret it is based on all the experiences you've had to date and your environment that you're in at the moment. And it's the story that you take from it. You can sit down with somebody else, like book club girls do, or guys, and they sit there and they've just all read the same book, yet they've all got different things that they've taken out of it. And it's exactly the same with any scenario in life. So it's really important that with the action that you're taking, growing your mind, that you start with personal development. It teaches you skills and tools that you haven't been taught. We don't know what we don't know. And there's even the biggest scary bit is what things we think we know are wrong. So there's things that we thought are 100% right. And over time, we've learned some of those things aren't right. And we've been told things that haven't been, the 100% only way of doing things. So it's really important that you really look at things objectively and through that fresh lens as well. When you know how to regulate your emotions, you are in control of your life instead of allowing and other outside things to be controlling you. It's like, I call it are you the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog? And that's probably the easiest analogy to use. And, I always want to be the person that, can pause when in a situation before I say something, when it's going to be something that could be, rather than confrontational, look at how it can be carefrontational, or look at how I can choose to have my what I'm going to say, advice if it's been asked for, how it can land in a way that I want it to land as well. So these are things that I can control and what I can manage and what I can look after as far as building up my own mind so that it grows in other areas as well.
So we have to look at our strategies. So we need to identify effective strategies to break each habit. So we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping, wishing and praying for different results, because we know that doesn't work, don't we? I think the definition is stupidity or
insanity. Either both.
So we need to learn to manage our stress, and by identifying our fear, that holds us back, because people say stress, people say anxieties, people say depression, all of these things basically are fears that hold us back from having the life that we want. So if we want more, guess what? We got to be more. We've got to step up and we've got to take control and start running our life and stop allowing the fear to actually be controlling us. So we want to replace all of our unhealthy habits with positive ones, and we can do that, absolutely. We want to set clear, achievable goals. So we've got somewhere to head, somewhere to focus on, and we want to be achieving things in our life, because our happiness is linked to our success. If we're achieving and we're making progress, we're going to be happy. That's just human nature. So we want to create daily rituals. So we do the things that we need to do. We jump out of bed in the morning, we've got a purpose for getting up, and then we have structure in our day. I see so many people who come to work with me not getting what they want because they don't have the right structure and they don't have the right systems. Once you get these things worked out and you've got a plan for your life and you've got the, encouragement and support to get there, it's amazing what you can actually achieve. So people say that they don't have enough time. You know what? We've all got the same amount of time in every day. So how come some people can do amazing things and get a lot of activities done and achieve a lot in a day, and other people are battling to get out of bed and clean up their bedroom and cook a meal for themselves? The reality is, what we prioritize, what we actually schedule and we make a priority in our life, we actually do. And so we want to turn off the TV if you want some extra time, or look at all the things that you do that are wasting time, that aren't productive, and they're actually feeding the negativity. So if you want to break negative habits, you've got to stop putting more and more negativity on top of what you've already got. We want to turn off some of that rubbish out there, and we want to start filling our life and creating our life with more positive things that are moving us in the direction of our goals.
You know, I had a good friend that a couple of years ago went through his journey of Hodgkin's disease, and he ended up having to have a lot of chemotherapy over a period of time, and sessions after sessions. And he said the best thing he did every morning was actually swing his legs out of bed and get up and brush his teeth. And he said sometimes he stayed in his pajamas or went back to bed, but it was getting up, brushing his teeth, having a shower, just doing some little things that were ritual. And he said, I've got this. That was what he used to say, brush his teeth, I've got this. And he said it was just those things. He said he saw some people through his sickness and through the journey, and certainly longer stays in hospital, with people that just wouldn't even get out of bed. They wouldn't brush their teeth, and they were just laying there and just in there. And he said these are the little things that made the massive difference in his journey to full recovery. And that, he said it's no one thing that gets us there. It's a lot of little things that makes a massive difference. And these are the things that we can let slide because, we just are in the slump. But these are the important things to step into. And seek support. Go to somebody that's been where you want to go and has done the yards and can give you some easier route and pathways so that you can avoid some of the hardships and some of the pain as well. So, we are the divorce recovery coaches because we've been through, unfortunately, 3 divorces between us. And these are the things that we've learned the hard way, and we've learned financial hardship through it, as well as emotional and lost friends and all the things that happen. And it's how you can talk to someone that gets it and has been there and can support you on this tough journey as well. And everyone has blind spots. Like I said before, we don't even know that there's a car there because we can't see it. And yet there is one. It's a blind spot, and it's not our fault. We just don't know that we should have looked differently or how to look differently. So it's really important, one, to understand that there are blind spots. That's probably the biggest breakthrough, and that there's more than possibly what you think there is. And be open, not the I know. And I always think, well, I want to know rather than I know. And, work with experienced coaches. They can anticipate your blocks and provide practical solutions. I was talking to a lady today, actually, and she said, oh, Sandra, I needed to speak to you. She said, I know you won't be my friend. You'll be my, she said, my big sister accountability buddy. And I said, I'm not sure what your big sister's like, but I said, I certainly can be your accountability buddy. And, we walked through the things that were roadblocks for her. And by the end of the call, she got that it wasn't the roadblocks, it was her mind. And the mindset can get through and over and under anything if it's in the right place. And nothing can hold us back if we're there and we need to get on and, rescue a child or do something that we're determined to do. We've just got to have a big enough why to achieve it. And do the opposite of what you've been doing and learn to celebrate your successes. How many times through your life have you celebrated yourself? It's all very well we go through and we celebrate everyone else, our family, kids or friends, and turn up there, but we don't celebrate ourselves. In fact, we've been raised in many situations to actually not be bragging and not to be big noting ourselves. And yet this is something that you deserve to be proud of. Why? Who said that it's not okay to do that? And this is something that when you celebrate, there's a psychological shift that happens that drives and motivates you to actually achieve more. And I know through experience, one of the things we used to do when I had a little win with my, it was more of a financial win when I had either picked up new clients or I'd gone through and settled on a property that I had just renovated, or it was a little financial win that I'd had, and I'd set myself a goal. And I used to go out and I gave myself a budget that I was allowed to spend $600 on whatever, depending on what the win was the it was a percentage usually, but say it was about $600, which is a lot that I could go and just spend on whatever I wanted to. And I remember one day I came home with some cushions. And my husband said, "What are you, $600 on cushions?" I said, "No, you're not allowed to have an opinion. This is my win and my what I'm choosing." And as we know, ladies, $600 doesn't go too far on cushions, but certainly I got some nice cushions out of it. And every time I looked at them, and I loved them, and I loved seeing them on the lounge, and it made me feel good. And that's what. And when I come home, or everything set up on the lounge and everything matched, and it was really gave me a personal sense of satisfaction that I'd earned the money. I'd had I'd gone through and achieved a goal I'd set and worked hard to do it. And it was something that I set myself as a win and motivated me again to do it again. So these are the things that we don't do enough of. And take your walls down, ladies, and allow other emotionally healthy women to support you. We just feel that, we've got to do it ourselves, and we don't. And showing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. Only strong people show vulnerability. And it's important to know that, when you're in a trusted circle, that sharing and showing that side of you that other people don't always see is definitely something that helps you to break through to that next level of emotional intelligence. Only 4% in the world end up doing work on themselves at this level, and understanding that thinking is more powerful than anything else that they could be doing in their life.
Excellent. So we've got to implement effective habit breaking strategies, because doing things that don't lead to results, we lose motivation very quickly, don't we? How many people have started something and within 2 to 3 weeks they've petered out, they've lost their enthusiasm, and it goes by the wayside. So what we've got to do is implement effective things that actually work, groundbreaking strategies that aren't necessarily well known or talked about, because like Sandra just said, if only 4% of the world's population are really getting to an elevated level of emotional intelligence, then not everyone knows this stuff, do they? But I can absolutely tell you, the more I grew my mind, the more emotionally intelligent I became. Every single area of my life improved. And so I'm just such an advocate for it. I don't believe there's anything more important that we should be giving our kids. I always said to my kids, I don't care what I leave you, in my will. What I do really care about is I want to make sure you're educated and you're emotionally intelligent, because if you're emotionally intelligent, you can regulate how you feel, you can regulate how you handle situations, then you can regulate your life. You are the one in control of it. Your life is not controlling you. And I wanted my kids to know that it doesn't matter what life throws at them, whatever, they can handle it. They don't have to, suffer. They don't have to, go into story and create stories about why things have happened to them. They know that they have the power to be able to change their situation because they control their mind. So we need to plan and take small steps, start with small achievable changes. So it is literally a step-by-step journey. I call it a transitional journey because everyone has to start at where they are. And that's just where we're at. That's what we've been taught, what our parents were able to give us, what our teachers, our mentors, what we know right here, right now. And most people think they know more than they do. That's just the reality. So often we have people come to us and they say, I've studied all this stuff, I know all that stuff. And I 100% hand on my heart know that once they start going through some of the processes, the material that we have, they've just blown away. And so it's not it has no indication on your actual level of intelligence, because you can be taught how to do other things. You can have degrees and you can have other experiences and TAFE certificates and trades and all of those things. You've been taught how to do them. but nobody really teaches us emotional intelligence or relationships or communication or strategic intervention where we're being able to manage situations. So these are all the things that we put into what we teach our programs. So the second thing is you do need to have a reward system, because doing things and not getting a result, you're going to lose interest again. So we have to build that in, and we have to build a daily ritual in where we're celebrating ourselves, because it's not okay to keep bashing yourself up. Most of the ladies we work with, they're so hard on themselves. They've been listening to negativity around them for so long, they start to take it on themselves. And we start these processes where they have to be kind to themselves and they have to recognize their achievements. And for most ladies, it is so hard because they're so critical. And the sad thing is, when we're critical about ourselves, we're critical about other people. And when we judge ourselves hardly, we judge other people hardly. So, you know, even though we're a mum and we're loving and we're kind and we want our kids to be the best people they can be, what our kids hear is not that I love you, I think you're amazing, that, you know, you've got the world in front of you. What they hear is that they're not good enough, and they hear all the negative things that we think and say about them. And we might say, you know, 1 negative and 3 positive, but what people focus on is the negative. So we've got to be careful of how we process for ourselves. And when we're kinder to ourselves, we start to naturally be kinder to other people, and we celebrate other people's success. So we've got to do mindfulness and, you know, become aware of your thoughts and your feelings and the way that you're showing up in the world. And we need to acknowledge our fear. Everyone has fears, and our fears stop us achieving what we want to achieve in life. So unless we deal with those core underlying issues, nothing's going to change for us. So we've got to learn to name our fear, and then we've got to learn to dance with it. And we have to have healthy coping mechanisms, because if we don't, we're going to have unhealthy ones. Now, the world is full of people who go to a job, they get up in the morning after not sleeping well. They get up in the morning, they don't necessarily even have a great relationship with their partner. They go to a job all day that very few people, only 17% of people, love their job that they go to every day. They come home from work, they're tired, stressed, angry, whatever. They've traveled in traffic, they're frustrated. They come home and they have a couple of drinks, or they have a couple of joints, or they have a couple of smokes, or, you know, whatever. But these things are all numbing the pain. So we've got to learn how to have healthy coping mechanisms. So instead of numbing ourselves and soothing our pain away, we actually want to deal with that pain so it's not there in the first place. So what I always want to encourage you to do is to start at the very beginning of your life. And as you work through and you become more emotionally healthy, all the habits, all the things you do, you love them. You have a good sleep, you get out of bed, you've got a loving partner if that's what you want. You jump out of bed and you go to work, and you do work every day that inspires you and fills your heart. And then you come home from work, you're feeling good, you do some exercise, you've got a dog, whatever it is, and you've got friends and you're celebrating. And instead of watching the shit box, what I call it, you spend some time, you know, building connection, connecting in with your kids or your partner, or doing some board games, or doing something that actually fills your soul. And then you go to bed and have a nice sleep again. So, you know, we've just got to change up some of the things that we're doing in our life, but we don't get to do that unless we become consciously aware of them and we're looking for alternatives.
Yeah, so overcoming setbacks and staying motivated, that's a tough bit. It's okay to, you get that little injection of positivity. And Zig Ziglar had a quote, and I saw years ago, and it was, motivation's like a shower. You need to have one every day, or have some every day. So it's not just enough to have one and that's it. So self-compassion, be kind to yourself. Setbacks are like a part of the process. You're going to be, it's like a diet. You're going to, you know, have something naughty that you shouldn't maybe have. And then it's about your responsibility of showing up the next day and starting again, getting out the protein shake and getting back on track, getting back into your, you know, your good habit. But knowing that when we do slip up, don't beat ourselves up and throw everything out. Just slip up and get back on track and just go, you know what, I'm human, I slipped up, and I'm going to just try harder tomorrow. And maybe put some more signs up on your mirror, or put some more quotes. I used to put positive quotes and sayings all over the shower. I used to just type them up in the work, and then laminate them and bring them home, and I, with blue tack, put them up in the shower recess. And the kids would get all embarrassed when we had visitors come and stay, and they'd ask me, can we pull all them down? And I'm like, nope, might get some motivation out to your friends as well. Sharing the positive love. And but anyways, they soon got to learn it, and quite often their friends would go, oh, I really like what that's saying, or they'd come to me and say, oh, why are you doing that, or what's that about? And it is about you're training and sharing this down into another generation, and that's going to pay it forward for years to come and generations potentially to come. So reframing, viewing challenges as learning opportunities. You're learning or you're earning. I heard years ago, and it's either, you might, something that you've made a mistake with, you might have cost you. You might be earning it not just with money, but it might be with emotion as well. And this is you. It's, if you do something different next time, you get a different result, then you can be, you're moving and progressing. If you keep doing the same thing and you don't change it, then that's when it comes back to that definition of insanity. So use your challenges as things to overcome, and use the language that you're using as a positive as well. Challenges is something that you can climb over, and you can climb around, and you can accomplish something through. Whereas if you say it's an issue, or it's something that is a problem, then that's what it is. It's an issue or a problem that's stuck, and you get stuck in it as well. So I always think of challenges as something that I can rise up and step over. And that positive self-talk, encourage yourself and focus on my own strengths. So there's things that I wouldn't even attempt, because I know that, but they're things that I would be really encouraging to, in that, rather than put myself down saying that I'm terrible at that and I'm terrible at everything. It's just, well, that's an area that isn't my strength, but I've got plenty of other areas that are. So when we look at things that don't work, or we feel like we're a little bit overweight and we can't go to the gym, flip it to, well, that's why I'm going to the gym, because I'm overweight. Or rather than it talk about weight, talk about getting fitter, talk about getting stronger, talk about getting healthy. So what is it, the words that you're using that's empowering you versus disempowering you and disabling you and keeping you in that stuck spot? And the power of the words that you're using in your mind are as powerful as the words you're using out. They land on other people in a way that you choose them, either hurtful or kind, and they land inside ourselves that way as well. And they can, like I said, they can be words that will disempower us and dismantle our positivity and just be very destructive, as opposed to words that can be powerful and words that give us empowering choice and ability to be able to power forward.
So know that there's more possibilities out there for you. Don't give up with, or give in or settle for the life that you've got. If you want a more beautiful and fulfilling and happier life, then absolutely go after it. And, if we can help you, we believe you're one call away from changing your life, from breaking those negative habits and those negative patterns forever. So we're here if you'd like to reach out to us. We do offer free calls with one of our divorce recovery coaches. And what we do on those calls is we find out where you're at, what you're looking for, and then we will steer you in the direction of what's going to serve you best. And they're no obligation, and we would love to talk to you if you'd love to connect with us. So that's about it for now. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Miss Sandra. And have an awesome week, everybody.
Ciao, ladies.